Hey folks, man from the past here. I keep track on a lot of things around the world. One of the main things I am tracking is what's going on in Canada with the situations of this boycott of American food products and all that. Way to go, socialism, you freaking idiots. Where are you going to get your food from? What? You're not hurting America any. We've got plenty of global buyers. The rub here is, considering about 70 to 80% of the Canadian population live within 100 miles of the U.S. border, about 70 to 80% of the country is uninhabitable on a sustainable level without massive infrastructure. Of course, we deal with extremely cold climates and all that. Now, don't get me wrong. I grew up near Canada, and I had a lot of Canadian friends. But I remember my father and mother warning our Canadian friends, that don't vote for Trudeau, the first one, Pierre Trudeau, or socialism. Don't start following down the path of Britain. Well, they did, and they're doing it in droves. And they brought in approximately, if you look at the Canadian stats, they're saying about 500,000, roughly 485,000 legal residents in 2024. There's probably more than that, probably for 2025, to make up shortfalls for population growth issues. First of all, dummy question. If you've got the population of California strung out about 100 miles across the damn border of a large country like Canada, and then turn around and expect everything is going to be great, and the majority of your population, 70%, is living in Ontario, for Christ's sake. You've treated the western provinces like garbage for years, and these crazy equalization payments. That would be like Texas saying, hey, look, I've got to give California money just because they're California. That's like telling the rest of the South and the production states of the United States that they have to subsidize the madness of socialism on the East Coast and West Coast. We wouldn't do it. Now, we have a federal republic that sits there and divvies up funds and all that, but no direct payments to a central government because, oh my God, here, let's go ahead and steal $20 billion a year from Alberta alone, and you people just take it. Oh, I've got faith in Canada. Canada is not what it used to be. Canada is not a nice little happy country because we've had the same problem that our leftist idiots and our rhino idiots have done, and that is spend all your money into the next 2 or 3 generations. Right now, you're looking at about total Canadian dollars in debt of about 100 billion. Okay, and that's Canadian dollars. That's about 75 billion US, thereabouts. Your dollar is worth fractions of what it used to be. I remember as a kid growing up, used to have Canadian at par when I was living up there in Northwest Washington State, and it's ridiculous that your Canadian dollar is worth 60, 65 cents US, whatever it is now. The loonie is. We never called it that. We just called it Canadian dollar back when I was a kid. But you sold all your gold reserves. You have no gold reserves left. Now, you do have a very wealthy country as far as natural resources, but the idiots in Ottawa and these bastards in Ontario and Quebec and what we would call the maritime provinces, you call the Laurentian provinces, that's fine and dandy, but you've got 70% of your population in Ontario, and the next largest one is in Quebec, and they're just bleeding you dry. They don't give a damn about Saskatchewan, most of Manitoba. They damn sure don't give a damn about the Northern Territories and the Yukon. And as far as BC or British Columbia is concerned, yeah, if you're in the little happy zone of Vancouver with all your drugs and idiots and your leftist craziness, with your homeless on the street and your increasing amount of gang activity and drug activity, I guess if that's what you like, living miserable, the rest of BC, I would say about 80% is totally against all that. All that kind of behavior is anathema to the lumberjacks and the miners and the farmers of Western Canada. Now, you had a chance back in the 1860s to become part of the United States, and the British pulled the whammy on you and put that Canadian Pacific Railroad through. Okay, if it wasn't for that, you guys would have probably already been part of the U.S. because it was heading that way. Study your history. Okay, you've got Mark Carney up there, who has been the president of one of the most evil influenced lending institutions, the Bank of England. And look at Britain right now. Britain's a catastrophe. I guess you got to follow what the British do every time, and you can't do that. It's time to really come up with a viable solution and cut these socialist vampires and les Quebecois off from the tit of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the rest of the western provinces and territories. Texas was independent for 9 years, and we were broke. That's why we had to join the United States in 1845. We were broke, and Santa Anna was building up forces, and we ended up going into the Mexican War. That said, we were independent for 9 years, and this is long before oil or any of that crazy stuff. You guys don't have to put up with that. Quit being afraid of breaking away from Ottawa and start thinking about your own futures, because these people have nothing for you other than more misery and globalist heartache. And they're going to bring in another 500,000 immigrants into your country. And it's not being racist. They refuse to fully assimilate. And by assimilation, speak English, or in your case, English or French. And by the way, the people in Quebec don't want any of these immigrants from the Central Asian countries. They really don't. They want more French speakers, and they are losing population too. But my God, Ontario is just insane. It's loaded with lefties and socialists and immigrants who refuse to sit there and assimilate, and you're going to end up paying more and more of your hard-earned money out of the western provinces for equalization, so these assholes can go ahead and continue to rip you off and make you poorer and poorer and poorer, and stop any development of the West, stop any pipelines going in, and stop any job creation from going. They don't care. Now, I mean, it's been proven over the last 10, 15 years. Now you got Carney in there, and he's even worse. He's going to make Trudeau look like, just the buffoon that he was. But Carney has got vested interests behind all this, and I'd be very worried. So if I was Canadian, and I really miss old Canada from the 1960s. That was a great time. But you went down that socialist path, where they can just create money out of thin air and freebie. And you did leech off the United States for decades and decades. You did sit there and put unfair trade tariffs on our goods. And now you're griping because, you're going to go ahead and boycott our food? Fine. We don't need to worry about that. Now, the western provinces are still having problems too. And God help y'all. Alberta, I would seriously think about creating your own independent country with the Yukon territories and Saskatchewan, and just say to hell with it. Because those idiots in Ottawa are not going to let you get away scot-free. They'll drag it out for years so they can suck more of your lifeblood out. Well, this is all I've got to say about that. It's terrible to see what Canada has become. And they're going down the British path of absolutism and, shut up, how dare you. You just pay taxes, slave, and shut up and deal with it. Because if you don't, you're a racist, fascist, bigot. Well, fuck that shit. You people in Canada need to get... I know you got some good people in Canada. I've grown up around, been around the Canadian Army when I was in NATO. Believe me, that was back in the day. But you cannot sit there and let these people run your country into the dirt. And it's better to go ahead and think separation than it is trying to work it out, because the bureaucrats and the ideologues in Ottawa will just continue to, twist the laws and all that. Hey, there is always the event of possibly, just saying, fuck it. We want to apply for United States statehood, Alberta, Saskatchewan. Come on, buddies. Come on down. And central and eastern BC, you can break weight, and we will recognize you. I guarantee it. It'll be real quick. Now, you started out as territories, and of course, the Canadian government in Ottawa would say, well, but what about all of our investments in social medicine, all that? It's not working. You're broke. You took their money and you shoved it down the toilet. You took their gun rights away. You've done oppressive suppression of freedom of speech. Let's not even talk about the trucker strike, with that Orwellian bullshit. And you refuse to listen to your own people. And me personally, I'd love to be able to drive up through BC and up through Alberta, all the way to the Northern Territories and go to Alaska without dealing with all the bullshit. And you want to get some trade done quick? You want pipelines? You want jobs? We can go ahead and take care of your debts. And guess what? We're not going to destroy your socialized medicine. As a matter of fact, we'll actually make it work. Because the cost of socialized medicine is probably about 6 times more when everything's said and done when it's run through Ottawa than if it was run through the provinces or through the United States, for that matter. You would not lose out. And dollar for dollar trade-off. Canadian dollar at par. Alberta, why not? Canadian dollar at par. So you've got savings and all that. We just buy your savings out. Here you go, U.S. dollars. Ta-da! Just saying, there's all kinds of options out there. Do not let them continue to leech off the tit of Alberta and Saskatchewan and the Yukon and central and eastern British Columbia anymore. They're not going to help you. They are insane. They don't give a damn about your personal rights. Obviously, by their actions, not their words. Their words are fucking word salad anyways. And as a Texan, I would more than welcome those provinces in the United States with open arms. And granted, you might not be as conservative as we are. We don't want Quebec, and we don't want Ontario. No, you keep those. You let's see how socialism works without you ripping off everybody else to subsidize your craziness. And you can keep your little socialist assholes up there, but the rest of the areas I talked about, even most of Manitoba, not a problem. Bring it on in. Declare independence, get your shit together. And if that doesn't work, I know, do your referendums and all that. Try to be the good law-abiding Canadians that most of you are, with the exception of the assholes in Ottawa. And if that doesn't work, request recognition as a trust territory of the United States. And the United States will jump on it because for 2 reasons. 1, it's a good deal for both of us. 2, it's of strategic importance for the United States to secure the Arctic as well. So that's all I got to say. I know it's been a long-winded thing to talk about, but I really never thought I'd see or say never see the kind of crap that's going on in Canada, and I never thought I'd say, yeah, fuck it, break away from this bullshit confederacy that you have with all your little weird parliamentary parties that just destroy the will of the people to vote correctly and get things done. It's the problem with two multi-party systems and parliamentary systems is you cannot sit there and focus in. Yeah, let's build coalitions and all that, and the coalitions fall apart. Give me a break, okay? You're either on the side of right or you're on the left. And remember, the left is never right. So God bless you Canadians, you Albertans and you Saskatchewans people, and the people in the Yukon and the Northern Territories. That's what we used to call it. I guess I have to look at my geography again. And have a blessed day. And please like, subscribe, and comment. Have a blessed day.